Hey, this is James Pelton, and as parents, we want what's best for our kids. We take them to school and they learn about Pythagorean's theorem and how to tell the difference between a direct object and an indirect object. But then they get into the real world and they find out that Pythagorean's theorem does not pay the bills. Financial education severely lacking. They basically don't do it at school. So it's up to us as parents to do that for ourselves. So today I'm going to go through 7 things that I want to teach my kids about finances. And I'll call this series Parent Pelton. This is getting a little out of hand. So if you don't have kids, keep watching because someday you might, and it'd be good for you to know what you want to teach them. So first thing I want to teach my kids, I want to teach them about budgeting. So I think it's important to give your kids an allowance. The best way to teach them about money, you can tell them things, but showing them and having them do it with their own money is going to help them work through kind of the emotions of money. How much you give them, totally up to your family. I give my kids their age per week. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. That might be too much for some families. That might be too little for other families, but I found that kind of works best. And personally, I don't do cash because in my real life, I don't use cash. And I imagine, 6, 7, 8 years, cash will be even less used than it is today. So I give my kids a debit card that's connected to a bank account. I've found GoHenry has been very helpful for me. You can get your kids their own debit card and kind of bank account. They can design it how they want. It's like my daughter has their name on it, which is awesome. And they can put a dog or my son has a shark, whatever. But with the card, then you can actually teach your kids. You can go to the store, they want to buy a Lego set or whatever. Bring your card. Here's how you use the card machine, things like that. You might laugh here. It says that my daughter gave me $28. So like when they buy something online, sometimes I'm too lazy to type in the numbers. So then I just transfer. And the kids say, hey, can I buy this? And I say, well, how much do you have in your account? And they can go check, and then they can use that money instead. It also simplifies a lot of things. If your kids are always asking you to buy things, you can say, hey, if you can use your own money, you can get it. If not, then you have to wait. So I get my kids a debit card, and the main things that I want to teach them, I want to teach them 4 things: to spend, to save, to give, and to invest are the 4 things that I'm really looking for. So obviously spending, you teach them that, hey, you can only spend when you have money to spend. So they have to learn, hey, I can't buy both of these Lego sets. I'm going to have to pick. And GoHenry lets you do this real well. You can split up the allowance that you give them. They just take an allowance right out of your bank account, and then you can split it up. Say, I want 25% to go to spending, 25% to savings, etc., etc. So I want to teach them about saving, that delayed gratification, that, hey, if you save, you'll have a lot of money that you can use for something else in the future. And I kind of let my kids set their own goals. And maybe you have a couple goals. Like I want to save for a car when I'm 16. And I also want to save for a laptop in 2 years, something like that. So you guys know I did a video on Acorns, but it's basically, it goes into an ETF. So it's just the stock market. You can explain to your kids, here's how the stock market works. But Acorns even has like a kids account where you can just say, hey, $5 a month, I want to just put into a stock market ETF or something like that. And then you can show your kids, they can watch as it grows. You can check back on it once every few months and say, hey, look how much you have now. You also can teach them, hey, the stock market's down. Look how much you've lost from investing. Good lessons for kids to learn. So I want to teach them about budgeting, saving, investing. More importantly, though, I want to teach them about giving. Jesus says that it will make you happier to give than to receive. So that's a truth. And again, you can teach your kids by just telling them that truth, but they'll learn it much more effectively first if they see it in your life. If you tell your kids it will make you happier to give than to receive, but they see you being super stingy with your money, not being generous, not giving to other people, they're going to connect that in their brain that, hey, my dad, my mom says this, but they live this way. So when teaching giving, I want to model it for them. Then I also want them to experience it for themselves. And I trust that when they give, they will see, hey, that makes me happier than when I spend things on myself. So with GoHenry, I actually split my kids' giving into 2 categories. I have a give to church. So we do just a standard 10% give to church. Then I also have like a give to people fund. So when there's a birthday coming up or whatever, if they just see a friend that they want to get something for, they have a budgeted account that they can use to spend on that. So number 5, I want to teach my kids about debt. And honestly, I don't have a great way to do this right now other than just talking to them. As they get older, and it's going to be different for different ages, but as they get older, we go buy a car or whatever. It might be good to teach them, buy a used car. You don't have to take any debt out, but I actually want to teach my kids about debt. So we might go buy a car, and even if we have the funds available, might take out a loan on it just to go through that process. But again, that might be an age-appropriate lesson. My 6-year-old, I don't know about teaching him about debt right now. But let me know in the comments if you have any tips for how to teach your kids about debt. I would love that. I am not this guy that says all debt is bad. I want to teach my kids about good debt. So I try to talk through them about like our house and how a mortgage works and interest rates, those types of things. So number 6 thing I want to teach my kids is I want to teach them to be entrepreneurial. Whether they, I started my own business, and I try not to pressure them too much that, hey, you need to start your own business someday. But I do want to teach them to think that way. So I found this book very helpful, Think Like a Boss, 47 money-making ideas for young entrepreneurs. But I'm always trying to get my kids to think of, hey, is there a business you could create? And obviously when they're younger, you start with lemonade stand. As they get older, you can start, hey, mow the lawn or things like that. I try to do things outside of the house because I think there's chores that you have to do that you're not going to get paid for. That's part of just helping the house. So I try to get them out of the house and, hey, go sell lemonade at a garage sale. If your neighbor's having a garage sale, ask them, hey, can my kids sell lemonade at the garage sale? And the money that my kids make from these businesses, I let them use how they want, but I keep an eye on it. And are you following the same principles we used in budget, or are you just using all your money to spend? That's just something that I keep an eye on. So the 7th thing I want to teach my kids about is taxes. And, I thought about, hey, you can teach them about taxes by just taking 30% of everything that they make, 30% of their allowance, 30% of their side hustles. I mean, that'd be one way to do it and say, hey, this is what the government does. But again, taxes are an area my kids are not maybe quite to that age yet, but I haven't found a great way to teach them other than just talking to them about it. Again, would love for you to leave in the comments down below any tips you might have. How do you teach your kids about taxes? So 7 things to teach your kids about money. I hope that is helpful for you. I would encourage you to take some action today. Don't overwhelm your kids by, hey, I'm going to teach you all these 7 things in one day. It's a gradual process. And don't beat yourself up if your kids are 13, 14, and you haven't started talking to them about finances. You can start today, but I encourage you take some action today. And let me know down in the comments if I'm missing anything. Parent Pelton is not perfect. There's an alliteration. I like that. But let me know in the comments, what else do you think I should be adding to my kids' financial education? Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. I appreciate you guys very much. Links are all down in the description, and hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks.